Welcome back to the Django REST framework tutorial. In this lecture, let's talk about validation. It is very important because we can add them in serializer. So to understand the validation, we'll go back into the documentation. Inside the documentation, you can find API guide. Under API guide, click on the serializers. Under the serializer, you can click on the validation, and inside the validation, we'll find a different type of validation. The first validation is field level validation. The second level is object level validation. And third one is the validators. We are going to talk each one of them step by step. So let us start the discussion with the first validator, that is field level validation. Inside the serializer class, we are going to add a certain validator that will validate the particular field. So we'll go back to the coding, and inside this serializer class, we are going to add one function that is validate. I want to validate my first name. First name having parameter is self and a specific value. That value is nothing but length of my first name. So length of that value is, if it is less than 2, then it will raise and serializer validation error, and that error is, let's say, name is too short. So this kind of message we are going to display. Else, if that length is not less than 2 character, then we'll return that specific value. So this is the validation we are going to add. Here I make a mistake. First name. So I'll execute this code by using the command python manage.py run server. Copy this URL, paste into the browser. If I want to check the coder list, we go to the coder list function. So it will display all the coder details. Now I'll add one coder details. Now these are the two coder details are there. I'll add certain details so that we can verify it. So here I'm going to add the one more details from want ID. So first name is, let's say, Sachin Patil. I mean 10 characters are there. Experience is, let's say, 5 years. Skills I keep the as it is. If I want to post this data, you can find that particular record is get inserted because length is more than 2 characters. I'm trying to add a record having character is less than 2 for a first name. I'll remove that ID from here and I'll keep the first name as a blank. Or I'll add only one character, that is S. Rest of the things I'll keep as it is. And I'm trying to add this full display a message. Name is Trish. I'm not able to add this record. So it is get validated through the serializer. So this is the first type of validation that is called as a field level of validation. Now we'll come back to the second type of validation, that is object level validation. So I'll jump back to the documentation. The object level validation, we need to validate a complete object. What sort of data it contains inside the object that we are going to validate. So we need to write a function validate inside the class, and then we are going to verify it. So I'll go back to the coding now, comment of this particular function. And now I'm going to write one more function here. That function is validate. It's going to validate a complete object. Self data is the parameter to the function. Inside the function, I'm going to write if that data is going to contain the first name is equal to data, and we are going to compare with the skits. So first name should not be equal to skit. This way we are going to just compare, but when I compare equal, ins are going to be compared. If this condition is going to be true, if data is equal to experience, then it should raise a serializer dot validation error, and that error is, let's say, name and skits should not be same. else it will return that object will return. So this is kind of object level of validation. Now we'll verify this object level of validation with the help of output. We'll go back to the browser. I will try to add the data is having same name and same skill set. Then it should raise an error. Complete object. How you are going to validate and one record. Having name is Sachin Duru and the skid set is same. Name and the skid set is same. And we are comparing this in the object level of validation. It should not be same. If I try to submit this kind of information, it should raise an error. Name and skin should not be same. So the complete object level of validation we are going to handle to this validation. Hope you understand this first two type of validation, field level and object level of validation. The third type of validation is validators. Individual field on serializer can be included in the validators by declaring them on the field instance. We can take one of the field that going to be validate. I will discuss validating through the code. So jump back to the code and I'll take this code as a comment. Once we comment the code, then we are going to write one function that is definition of, let's say, name underscore length, having parameter is value, and inside the function we are going to use the same kind of code that we use for the field level of validation. I just uncomment this code and it will check if length is less than 2, then it will raise an error, name is too short, else it's returned to bad. What we need to do, we need to go inside that serializer class, we need to write one comment. Inside the class, we need to add one line, let's say first underscore name is equal to serializer dot character field, and here we are going to add the validators is equal to, then we can write the function name that is name underscore length. This is going to be checked when we execute the code. So to understand this third type of validator, now we will verify through the output. We will go back to the browser, coder list. Inside the coder list, I just refresh the page and get all the coder list. Again, I'm trying to add the data. If I just add one more record here, I just copied this, I pressed it an ID. Let's say first name is S only. See now what will happen. Should raise in that's I'm trying to post this data. You can find that first name is to only allowed to add the data inside the database. So this type of validation is very important, field level, object level, and validators. According to the project requirement, you can select the type of validator that you want to use in your code. Hope this complete validation discussion you understood. Still, if you have any doubt, we can write it in the comment section. I'm more happy to give the explanation of your doubt. Thank you so much.